Welcome to part 3. Now, following up on what we discussed in the last part of this recording, it is now safe to say that if we have any election in Kenya where transmission fails, that election has been rigged. This is so important, I have to repeat it again. Going by our history, going by what has happened before, and remember even in 2013, the transmission spectacularly failed. Yeah? And then people had to go back to manual. Why? In retrospect, now we know the answer. Why? So that people would be able to fiddle with the election. That's really what it was. And again, it's very interesting in 2017 that we had transmission problems. In fact, one of the defenses of the ABC was that there was a failure in the transmission technology. There was a failure. Okay? This time, there was a story about 4G and 3G network, blah, blah, blah. Hiyo yote ilikuwa stories. Okay? Just take it from me. Anytime we go, even if we go to this rerun, anytime we go to an election and you hear the transmission has failed, just go home and relax and know in your head, without even interrogating anything, your election imekuwa rigged. Period. It's as simple as that. Let's move on. The other key point in the judgment was the fact that the Electoral Commission refused or failed to grant full access to their servers. Yeah. Obviously, in law, when somebody fails to obey a court order or to give evidence that is required by the court, it is assumed, quite rightly so, it is assumed that whatever evidence that they want to give, whatever evidence they are refusing to give, would be detrimental to them. Wanajaribu kuficha kitu. Yes, and of course this really affected this petition, because the judges, Supreme Court judges, quite rightly, according to the law, assumed that the ABC have something to hide. And indeed, me and you, we know that the ABC had a lot to hide in that server. Okay? Because up to now, there's no full access to the server. Hawataki kusikia your story. Yeah, that is the situation. In fact, the servers the judges put it very clearly. They said the ABC's disobedience left them with no alternative but to believe what the petitioners were saying. Yeah, that there was a lot of doctoring and fiddling within the server. Okay? The judges also wondered how come the manually transmitted forms arrived faster at the tallying center than the electronic ones. Yeah? This was quite a mystery, yeah? Because you can imagine, you send an SMS from Nairobi to your country home in, let's say somewhere at the coast, yeah? Somewhere in Wundanyi. Yeah, you send an SMS, yeah, maybe to your father or to somebody, yeah? Now, somebody takes a bus, yes, to Wundanyi. And then that person arrives in Wundanyi, delivers the message which was supposed to be that SMS, alafu sasa ile wanakunywa chai, your SMS arrives. The SMS arrives. Obviously, hapo kuna kitu. Yeah, because electronics, and we all use we use mobile phones, and we know what telecommunications is nowadays. Obviously, hapo kulikuwa na kitu. Yeah, and the judges quite rightly brought this out. The judges also said the IEBC declared President Kenyatta the winner solely on the basis of Forms 34B. Okay, and even those Forms 34B had a lot of question marks. Yeah, about 500 were missing. No, sorry, that were Form 34s. A lot of them did not have security features. A lot of them had some signatures missing. Yeah, some agents signed. Some of the presidential agents had not signed, etc., etc. They had funny things with them. Okay. Now, of course, this is against the law. Yeah, because we know that what the returning officer, the IBC chair, is supposed to do, who is the returning officer from the presidential election. What he's supposed to do, his verification involves taking the taking the results from the constituency level and making sure that they tally with all the 40,800 and something Form 34As. Okay, of course this didn't happen. The guy was in a big hurry. Alichukua tu Form 34Bs, cooked Form 34Bs. Now we know they are cooked, because obviously if you give me a Form 34B that does not have the security features, what are you saying? Yeah, because these things were printed at great cost to the taxpayer. Yeah, how then can you give me a Form 34B on a full scap, or you give me a 34B with a barcode that tells me it belongs to a pharmacy somewhere in France? Can't work. Yeah, so that's one of the things the judges said. The judges said people voted, yeah, and they voted peacefully. That was okay, and everything worked okay up to that point, yeah. But then after that, the system just went chaos, yeah. It went opaquely awry, and whether President Kenyatta got a large number of votes or not becomes completely irrelevant. Okay, that should be clear, because you see, kama ulipata answer and we don't see how you worked it out, definitely you copied, you cheated. Yeah, obvious. Yeah, the example we gave earlier on. The judges also mentioned there was no evidence to pin down the president for releasing the funds, just before the voting started, just before the end of the campaign period. The president released funds in Kisii and Nyamira to 2007-2008 post-election victims, yes. So, of course, Raila Odinga had, in his petition, had said that this was inappropriate, okay, leaning on a kind of election offense. The judges said no, there wasn't enough evidence to prove that actually this was an election offense, okay. The judges also said Bwana Odinga claimed that various electoral offenses were committed by the IEBC officials, and while there are a lot of irregularities and definitely illegalities, Bwana Odinga did not present enough evidence to allow the court to pin those illegalities and irregularities to any specific people within IEBC, okay. However, the judges said, to sum it all up, the illegalities and irregularities committed were of such a substantial nature during the August 8th elections that no court properly applying its mind, yeah, would say that the evidence and the law could, they would say that it didn't matter, that those were minor errors, as Jubilee keeps on saying, yeah, or IEBC lawyers keep on saying. No court that would apply its mind properly would take all those illegalities and all those irregularities put together and say, these were just minor errors. Nobody in the right mind would do that, the court said. Now, I hope this has helped you understand the judgment a little more. But before I go, let me just mention something that just gets me mad. This, repeated thing, I hear lawyers even saying that, those were minor errors, those did not justify the whole election being overturned, these were minor things, yeah? Now, let me just give one example. One of the evidence that it was not even given by NASA, actually the Supreme Court registry, in examining the servers, the IEBC servers, okay, came up with this one, yeah, that it was discovered that there were actually 41,541 forms that were used to announce the presidential elections, yeah. 41,541 forms, 34 A's. Now, we all know that there are only 40,883 gazetted polling stations. You remember NASA sometimes back was saying they're transmitting results from polling stations that are not gazetted? Yeah, here's the evidence in black and white, not from NASA, from the Supreme Court registry. Meaning that there was an extra 658 polling station in the moon, out there somewhere, not gazetted, which transmitted results which contributed to President Uhuru Kenyatta being announced the winner. Gosh. And then you say these were minor errors, the election would not have been overturned. I don't know what kind of country we are living in. I don't know what kind of person would make such a statement, especially being a lawyer and knowing the full facts, unless you're operating under some oath or unless it's all about making money. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.